I want to introduce our panelists. The session on the rise of Islamic fintech is going to be moderated by Safdar Alam. He is the founder of, he's the CEO of Wahid Ventures. Many years ago, he built a Islamic finance organization, Siam Capital, for about 12 years. Then went on to, he's a serial entrepreneur, started Nia, that got acquired by Wahid. And for the last 3 years, he is the CEO of Wahid Ventures. Now, Wahid is an investment platform, and Safdar will tell you more about it. He's a lot more eloquent than I am. Wahid is an investment platform that offers various services, within Islamic finance. They recently opened a branch in London. So very excited that they actually have a brick and mortar facility in London, and they have a global footprint founded by Junaid Wahid.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you very much, first of all, to Brother Tanveer for arranging this event. And we have a very high quality panel discussion coming up. So I don't really want to talk too much about myself or Wahid, but just in a few seconds. And there's a connection to this panel as well. So Wahid is it's a global investing platform for Muslims, and I run a part of that group, which is Wahid Ventures, and we invest in startups. So we represent Muslim investors, and we direct Muslim capital towards startups, which is of course quite risky. And we are specifically have a part of our mission to support Muslim founders and Islamic startups and Islamic fintech startups. And so what I will do, I'll just talk for a minute about Islamic fintech and why I'm so bullish about it, and then I'll introduce the panelists. And I will say, of the 4 panelists at Wahid Ventures, we're fortunate enough to have invested in 3 of them. So it's very pleased to see them here, and hopefully they can give some information and knowledge to the audience about Islamic fintech, and with their own color and their own personal experiences. So why I like Islamic fintech. Now, I've been involved in Islamic fintech for a while. I moved across from Islamic finance and banking specifically towards Islamic fintech. And there's a couple of main reasons why I'm very excited by it. One is that what we see in Islamic fintech is a growth of solutions driven by Muslim founders. And this is very important because a lot of mainstream Islamic finance, actually more than you would think, is driven by non-Muslim interests. And so mainstream Islamic finance hasn't really managed to solve the problems a lot of Muslims face every day. And I'm seeing a lot of the solutions being presented to Muslims now in the last couple of years through fintechs and startups. So the other main reason I like Islamic fintech, as well as the cutting edge and new products and finding solutions for Muslims, is that by knowing the fact that they are Muslim founders, this gives us hope that solutions can be delivered to Muslims that are clearly from the beginning Muslim focused and compliant with our faith. And that's not easy to find in the wider startup world. So what this can lead to is solutions that show, when it comes to Muslim capital, which is an issue we all face. You don't have to be rich to have a small amount of capital that you just want to invest aligned with your faith. So it's an issue that all of us face. And also how to have access to capital, such as buying things like cars and homes. And this is something that still Islamic finance globally has not managed to solve. So, and I am seeing solutions in these specific areas in the Islamic fintech space. So the rise of Islamic fintech, specifically by Muslim founders serving Muslim customers globally, it's showing us that we can take serious steps in controlling our own destiny. And this is something that's been missing in Islamic finance for many decades, that often because the Islamic finance system globally is not built for us, many aspects of it are directly opposed to our faith. So when we've looked for Islamic solutions, I mean, Brother Tanveer mentioned having to drive an hour or 2 to find halal meat, and this, I'm of a similar age to him, so we had this experience early on. So in the finance space, we're at that stage. To find a solution, you have to work really, really hard to find who provides those solutions. So Islamic fintech and Muslim founders gives us not just a seat at the table, because at the moment, if I use that an analogy, that up to now we've been eating the crumbs of the table of the finance space, and it's not been serving us. So with the growth of Muslim founders, Muslim startups, we're starting to create our own table. We create our own menu that's specifically designed for Muslims, and that's something I haven't seen in the last 20 or 30 years in finance. Okay, so to begin with the panel discussion, what I will do, I will give a brief intro to the 4 panelists we have. And for this section, I'm going to read it. They're not long, but I don't want to make any mistakes. I'm just going to read the intros. And then we'll go straight into some questions that we have for the panelists. And then, inshallah, we will have time for a Q&A session at the end. So during the course of the panel discussion, if you have any questions you want to ask, I think you can just type them in the chat section. I'm taking a look. I'm presuming it's open, it's not locked. So please do type your questions, and inshallah, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. Okay, so for the panelists, first of all, we have Areeb Siddiqui. Areeb is a founder and CEO of Kestrl, a software that helps Muslims to grow their wealth without compromising on their beliefs. Since launching in 2021, Kestrl has helped thousands across the UK, Malaysia, and the UAE through its consumer app, as well as software for any bank and wealth manager looking to appeal to Muslim customers. Before starting Kestrl, Areeb was a management consultant working at PwC, where he specialized in developing fintech solutions for wealth managers. And we have Sister Sharene Lee. Sister Sharene is a co-founder of Takadao, a Sharia-compliant blockchain-native cooperative insurance platform. She's been a strong advocate on the intersection between crypto and Islamic finance. Previously, Sharene was a founder of Melt2, a peer-to-peer transactional platform, which was acquired by IKEA quite recently. Sharene has been very active in the Islamic finance and crypto and investment space. She's won various awards, she'll forgive me, there were too many awards to list here, and I'm very excited to see it. And of course, also in my experience of searching for and investing in Muslim founders, I would have to say that we don't see many females in this space, and it's very nice to see highly qualified, super intelligent female Muslim founders in this space. And we have Morrad Irsane, who's an experienced founder with a successful exit. He's currently serving as a CEO of Takadao, which is the same company as Sister Sharene. This is a blockchain native Sharia compliant life insurance startup with backing from prominent investors, including Tim Draper, who's globally renowned in the fintech sector. Morrad is a recognized pioneer in the Web3 space. He's actively shaping the future of Islamic tech leadership. And finally, we have brother Mafaz Jaufer. He's the CEO of VEPAY. VEPAY specializes in providing working capital for e-commerce sellers and vendors while upholding Sharia compliance. He's been in the e-commerce industry for the past decade and tried to incorporate Islamic finance as a gateway for e-commerce sellers' real-life struggle in finding working capital. He envisions extending Islamic finance solutions to diverse communities, contributing to a more inclusive and ethical financial ecosystem. So it's very pleased to have a wide spectrum of founders and their skills and the businesses that they have and the different solutions and problems that they're working on for Muslims. So we do have a few questions prepared, so I'll go straight into the first question if that's okay with the panelists. So if you could keep your answer to 2 to 3 minutes, if that's possible. I know some questions are quite involved, but if in turn you could briefly describe your journey, your personal journey, what your startup does, and your motivations for becoming a founder and starting your business. So if well, I know sometimes there's hesitation who's going to go first. So if I could ask Areeb maybe to go first.
Sure. No problem. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And thanks for the introduction, Safdar. Good to see everyone, especially Brother Morrad, because we were together in Riyadh just a couple of days ago. So yeah, it's strange being virtual again, but there you go. Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Areeb Siddiqui. I'm the founder and the CEO of Kestrl. My journey began during my career in management consulting, where I specialized in helping big banks and wealth managers to digitally transform and build innovative retail solutions for customers. And it was sort of a bitter pill to swallow because I was helping robo-advisors launch and banks to launch their own digital applications. But they were all solutions that I myself couldn't use, my family couldn't use, my friends couldn't use as Muslims. They were heavily steeped in interest. So it kind of made me feel quite disenchanted. I left that industry, took a year out to do an MBA, got into the University of Cambridge, went there just to try and, find myself or rediscover myself. And whilst I was there, I met my now co-founder, Dayang Termizi, who's Malaysian, worked in Islamic banking his whole life out in Malaysia. And ever since we first met, he used to really hound me, asking me why I wasn't using an Islamic bank in the UK. And those of you who are from the UK or know the UK quite well, we do have a few Islamic banks here, but they're very poorly used by the local Muslim population. Fewer than 3% of UK Muslims actually engage with Islamic banks today. When we tried to figure out why this was, we did a nationwide survey during our MBA to discover the issue and found that there were 3 problems. Number 1, terrible user experiences. Most of these guys didn't have a digital app, let alone a working website even. Really poor customer service, and higher fees compared to their conventional alternatives. And all these things came together, those 3 points, to create this idea of low trust in Islamic finance. So that's where the idea of Kestrl was born. We thought we can and have to do this better. Using my skills as a management consultant and strategist in fintech, Dyings in Islamic banking, we launched Kestrl for that purpose. Kestrl is a service that helps Muslims who want to grow their wealth without compromising on their religious beliefs. We do that with our consumer app, which takes financial data and uses it to create a personalized financial plan for a Muslim user using our AI, starting with budgeting, going all the way to saving, and then Sharia compliant investing as well, where we'll screen different stocks and services for Sharia compliancy, as well as provide you with different options for halal savings as well. So that's how Kestrl was started. I didn't have any kind of entrepreneurial ambition before this. It just felt like the right thing to be doing with the skill set that I had. The cool thing about this is, and just to finish off, when we started the solution, it was completely for a retail audience. But something really interesting happened where the older Islamic banks started to approach us and said, we like what you're doing on the consumer side. Can you actually white label this and make it so that we can use it ourselves? Can we integrate it into our own apps to make our own apps better and to provide a better experience to customers? So that's what we do now. So we work with banks in Malaysia, the UAE, and inshallah the UK and Saudi coming soon to help Islamic banks deal with their customers better. So that's Kestrl in a nutshell.
Thanks so much, Areeb. Sister Sharene, are you okay to go next?
Yep, thank you so much. First of all, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone in the audience. And Jazakallah khair, Brother Safdar, for the extremely generous introduction. So my name is Sharene, and I'm one of the co-founders at Takadao, along with my husband Morrad, as Safdar. Actually, Safdar didn't say, but anyway, he is my husband, FYI. To tell the story and to keep it as short as possible, the idea of Takadao really came out through personal experiences. You know how everyone in life, you reflect and you think, well, how did I end up where I am today? So there are a couple of things that happened in my life that has pushed me to where I am today. So number one is a personal experience with the death of a family friend. So a family who's around the same age as ours. The husband goes off for Umrah, and at this point we were living in the UAE. And as he's driving home with his friend, he falls asleep at the wheel, or rather his friend falls asleep at the wheel, and they get into a car accident and they die. The next day, when we heard about this, we were pretty upset. So the next day we go to the widow's house to offer support. And the thing that I remember, and the most impactful thing from that incident, was the entire community has shown up to offer her support. And I realized that as Muslims, we don't have this thing called insurance because most of the time it's haram. And who really does help us is the community. And this really put in my head the power of community in all matters, and even financial matters. So that was incident number one. Incident number two is the 2008 financial crisis. And I was, a newly adult at that time. And the thing that I remember was that surprise that the people that we trust with our money and the central banks and the financial institutions are not to be trusted, as a matter of fact. And this got me thinking about, how do we take control of our own finances? And you fast forward that to today, what we're trying to build at Takadao is quite simple. It's to build an alternative to financial services, or rather an alternative financial service, an alternative to the banks and insurance companies that exist today. These banks and insurance companies are often profit-oriented, and as a result, they do not have our best interest at heart, right? I mean, all of us, the customers, regardless if you're Muslim or non-Muslim. Now, add to that layer, most of the time, these services are also haram. There's too much interest. The infrastructure is interest-based. So then we're in a position where we need an alternative. And, along comes the blockchain, which provides us with an infrastructure that is brand new. Because today, if you try to build on the Web 2 infrastructure, or rather the existing financial infrastructure, you're going to keep coming up against riba all the time. There's no two ways about it. And you're going to keep having to find workarounds and doing this, and it becomes expensive, it becomes, cumbersome. But with the blockchain, with cryptocurrencies, there is actually an opportunity to build on a fresh infrastructure. And so what we're trying to do is to build an alternative on that infrastructure. And particularly, there are two things that we're doing. One is called Takadao, which is savings and yield generation program. And another, which is Takashur, which is our flagship product, is a cooperative insurance, right? It's a community-owned insurance. Now, I want to remind you guys that Islamic finance is very much an equity-based system, right? We share in profit, we share in risk, and that's how we built Islamic finance. And that's what Allah has decreed upon us. And so the system that we're building is exactly that, an insurance fund, which is funded by and owned by the insured themselves. And this is what we're doing at Takadao, and I think we'll get more into it later on, inshallah.
Thank you so much. And Brother Morrad, are you okay to continue?
Yeah, I will just add up a little bit. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very happy to be with you tonight, guys, and Safdar, thank you so much. So I reflect a little bit on my journey. So I'm close to, I would say, a Safdar age in Tanweer. I actually had, at 23 years old, my first business in Southern California, Los Angeles. And I kind of reflect struggling to be the first halal shop in Los Angeles, actually. So people were driving all the way from Irvine and different places. I was like, what's going on with the Muslim coming and doing 2 hours drive just to come and have a coffee and get some of our chicken sandwich and whatever food we were making for them. So it was a big struggle to get halal food, And so this is where I started my journey as being very concerned about how to earn a living and how to feed myself. So, alhamdulillah, this journey led us to a very successful exit. Actually, we got acquired and sold the business in a very short amount of time. And I wanted to move to the Middle East after my experience in the US. So, in the Middle East, as you guys were mentioning, we were also thinking that everything is halal and we don't have to worry. But I had to struggle again about different things, financials, business, how business was conducted, and again I fell my back into the wall when I started doing trading, international trading. You had to open at the time a letter of credit. Everything was ribawi, so we had to find ways actually to make it halal. It was again another struggle. So I really had this, always the urge of building businesses that are really Sharia compliance in essence, because I'm Muslim, so I'm serving myself first, and then whatever I can benefit around, I benefit, So I was not like the intention of building something to the world at the time. It was just serving my own needs, as a restaurant, as the e-commerce platform, as a trading platform. So same thing when I moved to building a peer-to-peer marketplace for secondhand. That was funny because we wanted to make it also Shari. So we wanted to be an international product that anybody can use, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, but we will not allow spiritual to be sold, dogs, animals, or women. All these kind of things can happen into a peer-to-peer marketplace for secondhand. You see this happening often again. So it was again always building with the principle of Sharia compliance, but building to the world. Okay, so anybody would come in and not feel, that they were in a Muslim environment by itself. Okay, and so this is the way, I always put my mind into building a venture that are relevant not only to me, my community, but for the greater world. Because as Muslim, we're supposed to lead the world into the better things. And unfortunately, it's very recent that we are like in the back burner now, when we used to lead the world, actually, and I have in this mind to say Islam should continue to go back and present the product, because we don't forget that this is the deen of Allah, and everything that has been created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always superior to anything, for the non-Muslim or Muslim alike. So in this scope, again, after my exit with IKEA Group, I wanted to really have a meaningful, life with leaving an impact. So it's not only to build a product that will benefit me in this life, and but it was a way to build a product that will give me a long-lasting, sadaqah jaliyah, like we say, not only with myself, but with the people who contribute to this noble initiative. So I stumbled, as Sharene was mentioning, to the takaful concept, and I was really in awe when I saw that. And I knew that this project of takaful, the first time takaful was created by some student in Sudan. And I met some scholar in Saudi Arabia, and I was really fascinated about, the job that those brothers did, mashallah alayhum. And mashallah, you see that takaful has been spreading in Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to not only revive the pure takaful concept, but to make it completely riba-free and on the blockchain and transparent, and as bringing as many people as possible within this community. And as Sharene explained, I will dig a little bit more into takaful and Takadao, inshallah, later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, brother. And Mafaz, if you're okay to finish this round.
Yeah, thank you, brother Safdar, for the intro. And I'm Mafaz, founder of VEPAY, and I'll try to make it brief as possible to put some minutes to the table. So my journey started in Islamic finance nearly 4 years back. And by that time, I was like, working on a startup and pretty much grown up to a certain extent, and where I had an opportunity to do an exit. So we were providing especially a software development solution for e-commerce businesses like marketplaces, and also 3PL and fulfillment solution. And eventually, we had an opportunity to build a fintech. It's a conventional fintech per se, and it's kind of a sweet spot. Like, I was having an expertise in Islamic finance, and also had the building the conventional financing solution, and also having e-commerce expertise. So I had to make a decision to do an exit to a greater cost of building, Islamic financial product. So while I was doing research in that specific industry, like when it's come to fintech solution in Islamic finance space, I was so surprised to find like there was no like real-time application to certainly solve the problem exist in e-commerce space. So that's when it's really hit me, and we came up with VEPAY. So to start with VEPAY, we offer working capital for merchants who sells on online marketplaces and big box retail platforms such as Amazon, Wayfair, and Walmart at this point. Usually within 24 hours of their sales being performed, we try to fund 70 to 90% of the invoice value. That's the solution we provide in terms of invoice factoring. And the uniqueness of the solution is this is not only limited to region or any ethnicity, can be catered into any region and ethnicity as well. And yeah, that's all about VEPAY and in a nutshell and what we provide.
Lovely. Thank you so much. So for the next question, I want to see if we can give a bit more color to some of the questions that perhaps investors might have who maybe are looking to invest into Islamic fintechs, or potentially founders, Muslim founders who are looking, thinking about whether they could become a founder or not. So in each of you, I'd like you to cover a bit about what are the key challenges that you faced, either in establishing the business or growing the business or making it investable. Whether the areas are in fundraising, which is always very difficult, traction, building your customer base, making your business viable or helping it to grow. So I think that'll be very illuminating for the audience. So maybe just in terms of the order, if we go the same order, then I think it keep things a bit clearer. So maybe Areeb, if you could start.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, for any startup, fundraising, particularly in fintech, is something that is needed. I always advise founders that if you don't have to fundraise, please do not do it and avoid it at all costs, because it will consume a lot of your time and energy, which should be going towards building the business. And it's very hard to continue to build product and to keep speaking to and catering to customers whilst you're fundraising. But for a financial technology firm, it's quite hard to do so without capital because there are a lot of regulations and building a product that you need to do, which is quite hard without capital. In terms of the difficulties of fundraising, some of the issues that we encountered early on when we first started was that people saw Islamic fintech as a relative niche, which we thought was quite interesting. So when we would go to conventional venture capitalists or angel investors who were from outside of the Muslim sphere, they would see this as very niche and therefore quite a narrow total addressable market. So the potential was quite small, which is interesting when you think of how many Muslims there are on the planet, around 2 billion. I think in the West, many non-Muslims often forget that. So I think that put off people, but that really encouraged us to really focus on our core metrics, the things that mattered, specifically recurring revenue. So it meant we had to, scale back and not do some of the things normal fintechs were doing, like Monzo and Revolut in the UK, where they were just blitz scaling, doing a lot of marketing activity to acquire retail customers by any means possible and not having to worry about revenue and profitability. For us, it was all about revenue and specifically recurring revenue from the very start. We moved very leanly. We didn't really put any marketing expenditure into what we were doing, but we did a lot of, I suppose, cheap growth tactics. So we'd do a few TikTok videos every now and then. Some of them went viral, which drove a lot of customers our way. We found LinkedIn was amazing for leveraging brand awareness. So we use LinkedIn a lot. But the big change came for us when we realized that our consumer app was a fantastic piece of marketing for a B2B business. Just having the consumer app out there, branding ourselves as the Muslim money app, caught the attention of Islamic banks. And I wish I could say that we planned that, but it wasn't our intention to move from becoming a B2C to a B2B business or a B2B2C business. It's just, was Allah's plan, and banks began to see an opportunity in us that we hadn't originally seen for ourselves. So capital, a focus on the underlying metrics is certainly one of the things we had to do. And on the other side of that, looking at ways of saving as much as we can. Our tech team is entirely based in Malaysia, so that's really helped us to keep the costs lower than had we set them up in the US or in the UK. So it means like the equivalent team, we have about 25 people at Kestrl now. We have them for a third of the price than we would have been if we'd set them up in the UK. So yeah, that's sort of some of the lessons that we've learned so far. And I think the other thing is relying on your community. So alhamdulillah, we're really really pleased and humbled to have been backed by Wahid Ventures, or Wahid X as they were known at the time, which was an amazing place for us to go to raise funds. So they led our most recent funding round. And that really showcased the power of the Muslim community, where we went out and we did a roadshow. We went from London, Birmingham, Manchester, and unfortunately, we had to drag poor Safdar uncle around with us to these shows, but we managed to meet Muslims all around the country who were really wanting to put their money where their mouth was and to help support us on our mission of ensuring that no Muslim had to choose between their faith and their finances again. And that was really heartwarming to see. So relying on the community really helped us out.
Thank you so much. And Sister Sharene?
Yeah. So alhamdulillah, this is our, I think, fourth business together, myself and Morrad, and the previous one was also venture backed. So we raised significant amounts of funding throughout our career. Fundraising is the thing that I hate the most. Wallahi, it's like my own personal nightmare. Morrad is very good at it. He's one of those rare people that actually likes the pain. But maybe a little bit of I guess experience to share from a fundraising perspective. The VCs, the best ones, they're always looking for outsized returns. And they're always looking for that non-obvious idea and that thing that looks a little odd, but they don't quite understand it, but they understand it in a very large market that if it would go big, if it would succeed, it will change the world, right? And that's how we have to build our businesses. We have to build our businesses with the idea of changing the world. It's not really good enough just to say, oh, it's for Muslims. Now, we want to build the business for Muslims because we are Muslim. We want to be able to use our own product, obviously. But really what we're trying to do is do good for humanity. And this is something I really, really believe in, because I believe that the system of finance in Islam, or what was decreed for us as Muslims to on how we handle our finances, is really the best system. And if you think about how riba and interest has really destroyed the financial system and how there's such high inequality, I know for a fact that the way Islamic finances are set up, or Islamic finance rather, is set up, is the best thing for humanity. So when we talk, so alhamdulillah, we have recently raised a round of funding with our pre-seed round was led by Tim Draper, Draper Associates, a very prominent Silicon Valley VC. And he understood, obviously, the potential of the Islamic finance angle. But I think at our very first meeting, his question was a simple one. He was like, is this only for Muslims or is it for everybody? And my answer was, this is for all of humanity. And that's what, you know, and he understood immediately the potential of the business. Alhamdulillah, our upcoming round of funding, of which Wahid, led by Brother Safdar, has participated. As a matter of fact, Tim Draper has doubled down. He has put in a follow-on amount in this round as well. Again, I think we've from when we started to when till you know when we last met with Brother Safdar and Tim, we have expanded our view. So we started with saying, okay, we're building takaful on the blockchain, but right now it's gone beyond that. It's still takaful, but we're whittling it down to what it means, in fact, for humanity, which is community-owned insurance. So I want to say maybe to the Muslim entrepreneurs that have really confidence that what you guys are doing, because of the guidance of Islam, is actually the best thing for humanity. And that will mean that you will end up building the best product. Because our guidance is truth, therefore your product, if you stick with the guidance, is going to be better than whatever is out there, especially in Islamic finance. So that's number one. Number two, from a challenges perspective, and this is kind of funny, Muslims hate being marketed to. So there's a healthy amount of skepticism when you say something is halal, Sharia compliant, Islamic in any way, which is good, I guess. And I think Muslims are savvy in that way. They understand that there is a marketing speak there. So when we talk to our community, we try to really talk from our heart, right? And really to show that this is something we believe in, this is something that we're doing for us more than anyone else. And this is how we try to communicate with the community.
Thank you so much, Brother Morrad.
Yeah, thank you, Sharene. So how can she said it all almost, so I'm just going to say that, listen, if you want to really build a company, it's not easy, first of all. So you have to know that you have to be committed as a startup founder between 5 to 10 years. This is a minimum commitment that you put in your head before you even start something. Then before rushing to investors, you know, have the, you know, the project, as Sharene mentioned, that would really change things forever. You know, try to really look at the big vision and how to, you know, if you don't reach to the moon, at least you reach to the sky. And that's one of the things that, you know, then be very passionate, you know, about your project. Because if you're building something that is just, you know, for the money, for example, you're not going to fall far, you know. So you really have to have the passion to build something that will actually, this passion will drive you, you know, because you will hear a lot of people criticizing you, not validating you. So you have all this stress coming up, because when you build something crazy enough, you know, few people can see it, you know, and that you will have so many people. So if you're not passionate, and you have, and I like to say, don't have a back door. So if you have only the front to see, if you have like, oh, I can quit and go back to KPMG, or I can get this job, That's it. You'll be, so go with all in, no backdoors, because if you have no backdoors, you see only the front. Then, of course, it's important to start with your own cash. You have to, bootstrap. The first investors are your employees. Get them motivated. You'll get them up the price because they believe in you. So if you can convince your team, and this is what we're going to do, and you're going to have the best talent at a discount already, because they come and validate you. So your first 5, 6 employees, they are your first investors somehow. And of course, you always want to raise whatever you need for each milestone. So don't be greedy. It's not a valuation game. It's not like, raising game. You see all these, to be honest, when I see those big numbers, I'm afraid. When I see a startup raising too much money kills actually a startup. And honestly it does. Because, struggling with just enough money will help you actually build a better product, build for your community, stay down to earth and everything. You're not here just to do the VC game only. So you have to balance a little bit. So between the venture capital and of course you deliverable and what you can deliver. Don't forget that as soon as you raise a sizable amount of cash, it means you will have to deploy this cash very fast. And 18 months to deploy 5 million or 10 million, it's like right race to get the best talent, because startup business are built on the valued and talented people that you bring in. Every addition to your company, a talented person, make your business 10x better, So this is one of the game, and finding talent is also very difficult, very scarce, like digging gold. So again, it's not the easy game. But alhamdulillah, we've been blessed to do that a couple of times. I feel a little bit, I wouldn't say more comfortable. You're never comfortable, never stay in your comfort zone and stuff like that. And to be honest, when we launched Takadao, I got maybe 50 no's. 50 no's from people who know me, who trust me. And they're like, Morrad, we love you, but no, what are you building? Until alhamdulillah, keep on going and, put the no's in a bag and try to ask them why they say no. And eventually the no become maybe, and eventually a yes. Okay. So, yeah, this is what I have to give as an advice for founders, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Morrad. Brother Mafaz?
Yeah, so some great points from Brother Morrad and sister. So yeah, I'll piggyback. Even like for me, Islamic finance, I'll quote it as real economic finance. So if there's a financial system that exists, exists as a system which holds both entitlements and responsibilities, which meet others' rights, and including even all the living beings, right? That's none other than Islamic finance. So, and alhamdulillah, we are fortunate in a way that we are having some great personals as our board of advisors, so who have invested on VEPAY in all possible ways, especially with their time and bringing strategic partnership and financially, and also building relationship. So this kind of created as a kind of a sandbox kind of a environment for VEPAY to build and go to market without even diluting in the early stage of a startup. But it's again finding these kind of talents and panel of people. It's extremely challenging, and also having that level of relationship. And initially, as Brother Morrad rightly said, finding the right people around you, surrounding the right people around you who believe in your idea, and then also willing to take the risk with you in the early stage. It's very important than funding your startup. And of course, again, on the other side, like over the period of last decade, there's a huge exponential growth in terms of Islamic finance. So, investors also should give, Islamic finance that opportunity by investing to upraise the Islamic finance.
Safdar, I want to add something if you don't mind.
Please.
Yeah, going to Areeb, mashallah is a young man, mashallah. 10 years ago when we started fundraising for Meltu, peer-to-peer marketplace for secondhand. And trust me, and we were even in Middle East, just the fact of being Muslim with multazim with beard, it was really already like a challenge to raise money. And a wife with a niqab, it was a no. So trust me, I got it all. Shade you bear and I give you 5 million. And I love the idea, I don't like the guy. As Muslim, we face so many challenges, trust me. Subhanallah, even in the Middle East, to raise capital. Because they look at us as lazy bums, people who cannot work, they cannot do anything. You just go to just 5 salat, why you bother? Just take care of, and that's it. Even among Muslims, the most critics I had was among Muslims themselves, not believing in Muslim founders. SubhanAllah. They didn't know with whom they were talking to, come from LA. I mean, I've seen it all. Hustler, you cannot, I was like, what are you talking about? So just telling you, I didn't have a big beard back in LA, but when I was in Dubai, I was like, shave your beard. So imagine. Wow. So now I want to reassure you, mashallah, when I see the youngster, and I forget about my generation, Safdar generation, they are, the good thing about me, I was never apologetic. You take me as I am, take it or leave it. And that's what really makes you, they like to hear, wow, the guy is like, he believes in what he does, he believes in his faith, and I can only support him. Eventually, those worst detractors give me their money, by the way, Arif. They give me their money. They invested in me. And some of them even grow beard now, mashallah. So what it is you have to really be grateful that the young generation, mashallah, they are not in the same spirit that we were. They don't take, they don't compromise anymore with the religion. They want to eat halal. They want to eat, to use financial product that are Sharia compliant. They want to do everything halal. So you're actually in a time where the community is there. My kids, the kids of Safdar, they want only the good. And they don't understand the no for Muslims. So this is already something crazy. And it's the fastest growing community. And is the biggest consumer community in Europe and all over the world. And trust me, the Western VC, they understand that. They don't look at us as a niche. They are actually looking at us, when they have the bright mind, as a future generation. Look, it's very simple. Algeria has each couple has 6 children. In France, we have, I think, 75, not even 1 children per couple. So you have half a body, 0.75. I mean, the growth is on our camp. But what is very important, you have to build a world-class product that doesn't have to be, it's Islamic and that's what I'm doing. No, if you build something that is upping the game, trust me, the Muslim and the non-Muslim will come and take it. So build a world-class product based on our principle, because we have the best principle, alhamdulillah, and then everything will follow, inshallah. Sorry for hijacking this after that. Just I wanted to make a small point on that.
No, that was great, and thank you so much for the points. I know, so in Islamic fintech and speaking to founders and entrepreneurs like you, I really could talk with you guys for hours and listen to you. I'm so interested, and I think the listeners are as well. But also, I have one eye on the obligation we have to Brother Tanveer and his event. I think we've overrun slightly already. So thank you so much to Brother Tanveer for letting us host the founders here, and thank you for the time. And I know we've slightly overrun, so I do apologize for that. So I think at this stage, I'd like to hand over. So thank you to the panelists for all your time and your preparation and being here. And I'd like to hand over back to Brother Tanveer. Thank you.
This was a great start. I mean, I'm talking as a attendee. Great start to our event. Thank you so much. I have my heart in my mouth, and This is phenomenal. So thank you. The wisdom of an entrepreneur is priceless. And I think the thing I love about what I do is just interacting with dynamic entrepreneurs like you. Really, I can be up all night doing this, right? So I wish we had more time, but here's my commitment, right? As we mature, as our more and more people get familiar with the events, etc., we'll get to a point where we'll have an event dedicated to Islamic fintech, like a Finovate, right? Think of a Finovate for Islamic fintech. We'll also do this at some of these large, like TechCrunch or Money 2020 or startup grinds. We'll have a pavilion for Islamic fintech, right? As part of our evangelism, we want to do some really cool things. We want everybody to learn about Islamic finance. I truly believe in the long term that non-Muslims will also come to us because, in Islamic finance, the shared risk model, transparency, no speculation, eliminating riba, and not, investing in haram things like pornography and gambling and all of that. I think there's so much we could be a great blessing to the entire, to all of humanity, right? So I'm very optimistic about it. Yes, it will be a big struggle when you build an Islamic fintech startup. You have financial regulation and Sharia compliance, right? So I applaud what you all are doing. You guys are in my duas. We'll have a lot more collaboration and love to see us doing more events like this. As far as Wahid Ventures is concerned, what you guys are doing is a game changer. For those who don't know, Wahid Ventures will invest anywhere from 250 to 5 million per startup, right? They do many industries, but they do Islamic fintech as well. I think it's a game changer to have them come and do that, right? And they've already invested in Kestrl. They've invested in Takadao. Hopefully there'll be many other investments. So really looking forward for some great collaboration with Wahid Ventures. I'm sorry I couldn't introduce you properly, Safdar, because the fire alarm in the building went on as it is a false alarm, but it rattled me a little bit. But great event. 2 questions. You can drop this in the chat, Brother Areeb. You guys are in the US, right? There was a question about that.
Yeah, so you can download our app in the US today. The main feature you can use from the US is our Sharia stock and fund screener. The other features are not yet available, but they'll be coming soon.
Awesome. And they asked about your websites. I put your website addresses for people to follow up with you all. Once again, thank you. I wish we had more time. This was a great panel. Some of you are really late in Saudi Arabia, also in UK. I greatly appreciate it. Jazakallah khair, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
God bless.
Assalamu alaikum.